All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Tellor community call. October 6th, 2020.
That is the date.
Well, it's crazy. So a year ago, I think we were leaving for DevCon 5.
I know.
On the 6th.
We travel.
And we traveled for like the whole day. And it was, yeah. So it's been like a year since we've traveled. It's been crazy, for sure.
That's depressing. But
yeah. So anyway, lot going on this week.
But we have EthOnline.
Yes.
Which has kicked off and it's going good. I was just looking. We got a couple hackers asking questions, and the way they do it is all the sponsors get like their own branded Discord channel for people that want to build on Tellor for the hackathon. They can come in and directly ask us questions, and we can help them. It's like a help desk spot. But it was nice to see within the first week, we already got 2 or 3 people engaged with us, asking good questions, and our devs helping them out. This guy. So
yeah.
Who needs DevCon when you have these virtual events, right?
So yeah, anyway, it's been good. So as far as,
but next year's South America,
they did announce, yes,
it's Colombia, right?
Yeah,
Medellin.
Bogota. Yes, Colombia. So next August we'll be traveling there. Anyway, long ways away. God knows what will happen by August. But yeah, so on the news and admin stuff. So the first thing on admin stuff, we'll be throwing away the admin key tomorrow. It's necessary. If we're actually, this has always been the goal, and it's been a long time coming, and we're happy to do it.
Yeah.
We're obviously hesitant. You're putting a lot of faith in the community and a lot of faith in the code. So it's exciting.
But this is it's exciting and scary at the same time. But this is us really putting our money where our mouth is in terms of decentralization. It's like the last piece of being fully decentralized that we've held on to out of necessity, but we think the time has come to go ahead and do it. So we think it's a really special moment for us. So we're going to be really proud of tomorrow.
But for you guys, Mike will be pushing out a Medium article. And just share it around. This is one of those things, like, we want to share this news as wide as possible. Like, we don't have we're getting rid of the final piece of central intermediation. So pass it around and ask other protocols, like, hey, do you guys have one? And it's a great thing to share. It's an awesome moment for Tellor and kind of growing up. And
share it with Chris Bleck. He's one of the few guys on Twitter that really has cared about admin keys, and he's been sort of a, what's it called? Not an alarmist, a whistleblower, if you will.
Whistleblower.
He's a whistleblower about admin keys. He's been all over that topic this spring and summer, and so.
And then after the admin key burn, then it's on to decentralized governance. So we only hold, so most times teams say they have decentralized governance. It's like it goes to a voting scheme where the team holds 60% of the token, and it's not really decentralized in any way, shape, or form. But we only hold 5% now. But I think the bigger thing's going to be, how can we make the community participate more? How can we sort of get more interactions with the community? And it's going to go from there. And the first step, so kind of like to talk about our roadmap, we'll be throwing away the key tomorrow. And then there's Tellor V 2.5. Basically, we're changing how the payouts work, making them time-based. And then we're also reducing the miner stake, cutting it in half. This will be the first proposal, and we're decentralizing. And then basically, probably a week later, give or take a week, we're going to be throwing it to a vote to you guys. So you guys will have to go vote. And it's going to be a great moment. We're going to see if we can get a whole lot of participation. We want to hear your guys' thoughts and comments on the code. So
even if you have just a handful of tokens, I encourage you guys to go ahead and take the time to vote on any of these proposals. In terms of what that would mean for us, you might be asking yourself, well, I don't have a lot of tokens. What does it mean if I participate? Just the optics of that alone, the fact that we can get as much participation in our community is something that we could really brag about, because most projects don't get a lot of participation in these votes, and it'll really show what we're made of as a community. And there'll be ways to sort of track those metrics for sure. So your vote will count for something, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like you can go look at like Maker or even Aragon, which are two things that are like built for decentralized governance, or they claim to be, and they'll get a few dozen, like a dozen or two people voting on these things. Like it's not a whole lot. Like it's one of those things, like literally all of your employees probably didn't even vote on this.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. We wanted everyone to sort of be a part of it. So yeah, that's kind of the roadmap over the next few weeks. It'll be really exciting. We'll be pushing out a lot of kind of content on it.
Yeah, we want to make sure everybody knows how to participate. We're gonna, it should be very easy.
Yeah, I think we're gonna make like a little one-click button.
Yeah.
Vote yes, vote no.
Right.
Like make it super simple. And then we'll be also on, like, in the spirit of decentralized governance, we figured there was actually we needed a better way to move to, like, how do people propose new ideas? How does this go through? So we're actually starting. If some of you follow our repo, we created a new GitHub repo called Tellor Improvement Proposals, and the first one will be v2.5. So we'll be pushing out. It's going to be in GitHub. It's going to be a new kind of like Ethereum improvement proposals. And yeah, so you'll see it'll be like the details of the proposal, what we plan on doing, and everything like that. And you guys can comment on it. We can talk about it there before we push it through. But v2.5 will be the first one. We'll be putting it up later this week. So just kind of pay attention to that. Pay attention to, just all of the channels, the announcement channels will push it out.
Yeah, and this format and method that we're going to use to submit a proposal is something that the community is going to be able to sort of clone and submit their own proposals.
Yep.
It's open to anybody in the future. And then it's up to us to discuss it and push it through or not.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yes. Other things. So we're going to be reworking kind of how we have these laid out, because I think a lot of people, especially those who are new, don't actually know about them. But Tellor actually has a Bounties program.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's in a Google Excel spreadsheet, and we share them with people whenever they ask.
Very high tech.
Yes, we'll probably be moving it to maybe a GitHub repo or something a little bit prettier. But we have a lot of Solidity work, React work, content. If you want to make a how-to video, a Tellor 101 article, like all of these things are things that we can do, and we want people to go to these bounties and actually look at them. So if you're interested in helping Tellor out, even if you just have an idea and it's not on the bounties, we're definitely willing to, give you some CRB for it. So let us know. And then on to the last stuff. Oh, we did an article last week.
Yeah, we got, so it was the Q3 review article. As I mentioned last week, that we moved to quarterly updates. And so finally, this one came out. It was a pretty massive update because so much happened this last quarter. So a ton of good content in there for you to review, especially those of you that it gives some good perspective for people to see how far we've come this quarter. And I think it's worth the read for everybody. Definitely worth the share for anybody new that to the project. So yeah, it gives a little bit of a look to Q4, and it reviews everything that we did. I tweeted it. Should be easy to find, and it's in the announcements.
Yeah, and then events. So there's been some podcast recordings. We'll let you know whenever we hear when those are posted.
Mm-hmm.
We also have the EthOnline, which we talked about. I'll be speaking at EthOnline next week, next Friday. That'll be like, I think like 1 p.m. Eastern time or something.
That's the 16th, not next Friday.
16th is next Friday.
Is it?
That's not this Friday, but it's next Friday.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
I say that's
yes.
I don't even know what that is.
Um,
Anyway, it's the 16th.
16th, mark your calendars. It'll be on DeFi land.
It'll be on Oracle's.
Oracles and DeFi, yes. And then later that night, actually, I'm giving another talk, Liquidity 2020. It's another event that's going on that weekend. Shocking, I'm giving a talk on liquidity, that one. So it's going to be on the pros and cons of liquidity targeting. It's something.
You're getting typecasted.
Yes. So that one will be more fun. I'll have a little bit more freedom to talk about kind of inflationary rewards for liquidity and why that may be, when it's a good thing and when it's a bad thing, and depends on who actually is doing it. So that'll be a fun one. That's at 11 at night on the 16th Eastern time. So maybe it will be better for you guys over on the West Coast.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's it for announcements.
Yep.
And now I think we have a few questions in the Zoom I can get to right away. Somebody asked, is there any discussion about lowering the tier B need to mine? Yes. So that's it's coming out soon.
VIP.
And somebody asked if we want more miners participation, can you consider a Windows miner? We used to do one, we stopped because basically like you need an army of FPGAs or GPUs to kind of be competitive at this point. But I think we are actually going to start publishing the Windows miner just as like a best practice. So yeah, we'll put one out for you.
Which marketing strategy do you support? And instead of waiting for someone to come and start to use Tellor, or proactively to be in touch with potential partners and customers? I think we're definitely in favor of being proactive, and we have. We
reach out to everyone.
Yeah, we're in open discussions and with many projects, and have been for our entire existence. And we also like it when they reach out to us too. So we kind of do both.
Yep. And then somebody asked about Tellor's runway, given the DeFi bubble pop. And so Tellor's runway is kind of fine. We've been slow. We have expanded the team, but we haven't expanded the team too much. Like this was, a lot of people are under the impression like, oh man, like it's been a really big drop, and it has been a really big drop, and almost we sort of were cautious when it goes up so fast. It's always dangerous when things go up really fast because it almost just ruins the optics. Like we've talked about it a bunch. Like if you would have told us 6 months ago or a year ago that, oh man, by October you're going to be at $15, we would have been ecstatic. It would have been, like we're going to have so much runway at a $15 price just with the dev share. So, it's not really an issue as far as the runway goes. It's just,
they'd be like, oh, we doubled twice in 1 year. That sounds
great.
Like
we went for, well, I mean, like if you remember last year, we were at like $3 in September. That was like what we were hoping would be a nice, easy, a low price. So like we would have 5x'd in a year. That would have been phenomenal. So like most of, like really it's a phenomenal growth long term. We just want, like we hate the fact that you have these really short brief periods of time where you give, these really big bubbles. Like we would much rather go for slow and steady growth. And and I think, do we want to, like, there were a bunch of questions. We can just kind of address them right at the beginning. There were a bunch of questions on price. So the price has obviously come down 80% or something. And
there actually wasn't a bunch of questions. There was only a couple in here that were, negative about the price drop. And so I'm actually proud that it wasn't all about that, given some of the chat lately. But
and I mean, but we're definitely taking it seriously. It's one of these things we're not. A lot of times you'll see in the chat, people are like, we need to do more marketing. We need to do more price support. We need to do more liquidity, and it's one of these things, like we've been pretty consistent with our strategy from the beginning. And we think it, as we had said before, it is working out for us long run, but it hurts.
Yeah.
Especially if we've traded coins ourselves, and it's never fun losing money. And we want you to know we're not like a lot of those other projects that will just kind of abandon the project. We're in this for the long term, and we're using the funds that we have wisely to make sure that we have a long enough runway and make sure that we can build things that actually matter.
Yep.
Not just, we're not going to announce partnerships that are meaningless, so that way you can maybe ease people's consciousness about
Yeah, we don't want to be,
it's not,
it's tempting sometimes to be reactionary in that way, and I can see why some projects will do it, but then once you dip your toe into that game, then you become a slave to it, and it becomes an expectation. You can't back out of it once you start.
Yeah.
And it's something we never want to start. But that doesn't mean we don't react to things that we see in the market in our own ways. But again, some of these things are sort of behind the scenes, and it takes the form of ideas that we have for moving forward, and to have a better long-term health for the project. So it just, I guess we're saying that we do care, and that we're definitely working extra hard as always.
And if you're, as most of the people here on this call probably aren't as concerned. You're more active community members if you're watching this call, and you'll notice like a lot of people in the Discord or the Telegram will come on and just complain about the price, and it can be tempting just to be very dismissive of them, and try not to be. It's sometimes people do come on these projects, and you never know who's going to be a really good supporter, so try and just have a little empathy. And most of the time whenever they tell you to change your marketing strategy after a day or something like that because the price is down, they don't actually want you to change your marketing strategy. They just want
some reassurance,
and some
you
feeling.
care, right?
Yes. And so just work with them that, we're a community that cares.
Yeah.
So anyway, on to the actual questions.
Cool. How do you guys feel about the new fair launch trend?
There was a decent article on it I read.
Was it by Gavin McDermott from IDEO?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, he's someone, they just launched a fair launch VC firm of some form.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous because I hate the idea of a fair launch VCs firm, because the whole reason you have VCs is that they get in before the fair launch.
Well, no, I think what they're doing is they're giving away free funding for audits for projects that will do a fair launch. So it's basically a charity at this point. And I think that it's some sort of, I guess you could call it an initiative, but yeah, they're giving away free money for these small projects that do fair launch audits or need audits of their fair launch.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of a fair launch is you want it to be a fair launch, but then it's really hard to do completely fair launches. And I think the best way to do it is just go slow and don't build up hype.
Yeah, we were a fair launch before it was trendy, by the way, because the hallmarks of these fair launches are no pre-mines, no ICO. I mean, we did take a small seed fund from a VC, but we're not a VC coin in terms of. But
it's one of those things where even a fair launch, if you have a fair launch token where it's say
a liquidity mining.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about who knows what first. A lot of times, and how is it distributed? Who gets in first?
Who is in the chat room first?
So some of them who has access to the capital first, and it's the best way. You want to sell. The hallmark of a really good fair launch, in my mind, is most people get a buy-in at an even price, regardless of when you buy. So the longer the time you get to buy at a low price. So if you have 3 months where you can buy at a really cheap market cap, that's a fair launch. A lot of these tokens who launch it's a fair launch where they're minting tokens at $100 million market cap or $500 million market cap. It's not really. Somebody's making a whole bunch of money on this, whether it's the developers or someone else. So you want it to be earlier, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, I think it's great that there is even a thing out there called a fair
Yeah,
launch.
it is better that people are starting to think about this
Yes.
stuff. Definitely good.
You know, but there will be people who abuse it. And anyway, all right. Next question is thoughts on the BitMEX legal action.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. So if you guys saw BitMEX, giant crypto derivatives firm, got charged, and so like BitMEX has been basically an unregistered derivatives exchange for U.S. customers for the past 6 years. The fact that they lasted so long is sort of mind-boggling. But the biggest thing for me was that so they got slapped with being an unregistered derivatives exchange, which everybody knew they were. But then they also got charged with money laundering. So this was Bank Secrecy Act stuff, and some of those guys might go to jail, which is huge. You know, that's most of the time, like with these SEC fines or these ICOs, you just see, you know, the founders make a whole bunch of money and then they pay a fine or the company goes out of business. And
it might be like, oh, a $400 million fine. It seems like a lot of money, but it's like nothing compared to the billions that they've made.
Well,
So
and
it's a
even
slap on the wrist.
Yeah, and even if your company goes out of business, it's not a big deal. You know, it's like, so what, you made a few $1 million salaries for a year and then you went out of business. Like, it's not like most of these products had much traction anyway, but like the idea that you can go to jail for 5 years, now it's you know, you should think twice about some of this stuff. And the SEC, even some of the fines are getting really big. So just, you know, worth throwing away our admin key. Make sure other projects should follow. Make sure you're actually decentralized. Because if you see like, you know, like any action that the CFTC or the SEC hasn't taken. So like when it came to Bitcoin, in 2013, 2014, the initial discussion was, should Bitcoin be subject to KYC, AML laws, currency laws? And they said, no, it's decentralized and enough that it shouldn't be. But if you are running a service that uses Bitcoin, you are. And that was good. And then the securities law came and they said, like, is Bitcoin a security? No. Is Ethereum a security? They said
It was.
And they said it was, but now it's decentralized enough that it's not a currency. And now whenever we come to 2020 and DeFi protocols, is this decentralized exchange? Is this crypto, you know, token? Is this DeFi protocol XYZ? And I think what it's going to come down to is similar to the other ones. Is it actually decentralized?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the SEC, they'll say, like, is it actually an exchange that needs to be registered? I think if you are actually decentralized, they'll say no. But I think, you know, don't sleep on the regulators, because they take a long time, but they're not dumb guys. They know, you know, they know if you're trying to pull something over their eyes. So anyway.
They might walk around with parrots on their shoulders, but yeah, sorry, it's an inside reference. Anyway, is crypto good for rapid prototyping of financial products?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that when the market doesn't treat them like prototypes, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, even in crypto though, like the market caps of these are still nothing compared to traditional finance. You know, like I think it's super cool because like in traditional finance, like who gets to play around with the structure of a bond?
right.
No one. Like you are a financial engineer at JP Morgan or
just playing around with monetary policies of a
yeah, no, nobody
of an organization or a small group, or it's like we've talked about it. It's like, you know, these are the things that in past in history, it was like royalty that could
issue a currency, or like
issue a currency and think about these things.
If you were gonna, like, you're like, I want to start an exchange for commodities, like it's like, okay, well, like good luck raising $1 billion. Now you can do it and set up different structures and experiment really cheaply. So I think that's one of the biggest things and biggest benefits.
Yes.
So,
but that's also why when you want to sort of participate in some of these newer DeFi projects or whatever, you know, don't bet the house on it. Just play around with it, have fun with it.
Treat it like an experiment.
Treat it like an experiment. Come on. Next question is anything to learn from Aave's token migration from Len to Aave?
No, I mean, I haven't looked at it deeply enough to have an educated comment.
I don't know.
on the
I
matter.
don't know how it went. How prevalent is pump and dump in crypto? I hear stories. I hear a lot of stories from certain.
I think it
people.
was bigger in 2017, but
Yeah, but you still hear
still hear stories.
even things with these the different food coins. They're small little schemes.
Yep.
How do you feel about the memification of finance?
Cool.
What topics have you been thinking about recently? I don't know, man. I feel like I've been too busy to think about a topic at all.
Topics have I been thinking about recently?
Yeah.
Tellor V2.5.
Yeah, exactly. Does that count as a topic? Like what we're doing?
Yeah. No, we've been pretty focused, and
Yeah.
it's been.
We're trying to get to the point where we can spend more time just thinking about topics. That's how you know.
DeFi.
Yes, when we're doing more pontification, and things are going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay, we've already addressed that one. How have any of the new recent hires been made official? Just JG.
JG and Tally.
Tally counts.
Waved up.
Come on, get your head in there.
Yeah.
Get your head in the game. Look, he's wearing a Tellor shirt
We gave him.
under his flannel.
But
we have a couple more that aren't official yet.
Yeah, so I
I'll
think
let you know.
next week, right?
Yeah.
Ryan
starts tomorrow, technically.
So next week he'll be on the call.
Yeah. But next week he's going to come to the office. Yeah.
But he'll be on the call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next week we'll have a new person to intro you to.
Unless something comes up with him. He doesn't live near us.
But either way, I'll be on the call, even if it's remote.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, you'll get to meet a new guy next week.
Yep. Addressed that question already. We've addressed, this is another question about partnership announcements. I should just let the chat answer the question for this person. Where are the partnership announcements? If you look at Band Protocol or other competitors, they have dozens of credible DeFi partnerships. You guys know the answer to this one. We're working on things, but we're not going to be taking part in the credible DeFi partnerships. Why reduce the miner stake to 1/3? How did you arrive at that specific amount?
Well, we're doing half to start. Half was a nice round number. So it's going to be easier to decrease. So we're just going to start off slower. We're just going to go with half. So at 500 tokens, even at a $10 price, you're looking at quite a lot of security there. So we're not really concerned about that, I think.
And this is something that is not set in stone, right? With the admin key removal and moving to the Tellor improvement proposal governance thing, is that these things can change. And
you usually you want to reduce anytime, I'm guessing, so we're going to go to a Tellor vote, and who gets to vote on these things, who's probably going to vote. I think the miners are always going to be kind of in favor of reducing. It's going to really help them, less at risk. So you'll get a lot of votes from them. But if you wanted to ever increase it for them, I think they would be vehemently against that. And they would probably vote very strongly not to increase it. So you don't want to get to the point where oh man, the token price dropped way too much. We're going to have to up it to 1,000 again. Now that's just a whole bunch of out-of-pocket costs for them. So
yeah,
they would
have to really rally the troops to vote
vote it through, vote through all the miners. So you want to, I'd rather just slowly lower it for the miners rather than have to get in a spot where they owe a whole bunch of money.
Right.
And maybe eventually it'll be a variable thing. But that's still kind of open research.
Yep. Is it bad to release a token before you even have an idea for a product? Yes. How Marketing plan, how to convince anyone to choose Tellor over Chainlink without proper marketing. So our plan is to get people to start building on it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think our plan isn't proper marketing. I think it's education.
Right.
You're not, if it's going to be which team is flashy or can give you the biggest grant or something like that, it's going to be Chainlink. But we want people who literally using Chainlink is not an option.
Yep.
If Chainlink is an option, then you're probably not a fit.
Yeah. I was just talking to a project recently who is working on launching soon, and in their white paper it mentioned using Chainlink as an example for their price feed. And I asked him, I was like, so you mentioned Chainlink in your white paper. Have you considered using a more decentralized Oracle? You know, what are your thoughts on that? And the person was like, wait, is Chainlink not decentralized? And so this was a perfect opportunity where I could engage with this person and point them to, you know, some ideas and concepts, and perhaps educated him and changed his mind. And I think it's our job as an entire crypto community to sort of push that narrative. And I think we're getting there for sure. It's changed a lot since we first launched Tellor in terms of who is thinking about these things. So TRB this year's target price. Does the planet count? Can I say Mars?
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
It's,
yeah, we're not going to play that game. I have no idea.
No.
Is the mining mechanism completely broken, and is Tellor a failed experiment? No, I mean, with the mining mechanism is something that we're tweaking with V2.5.
Yeah, it's a continued thing to fix. You know, the mining piece isn't broken. It's just the submitting on to Ethereum thing might be broken, but that's you know, like we're sort of you have to sort of adapt to Ethereum. You know, we've talked about this a lot with people where, you know, like whenever we even designed Tellor V2 back in May, gas was high, but it wasn't near the reward amount. I mean, it was nowhere close. And then just over the last few months, it's, you know, just really gone out of control to the point where, like, it's, you know, it's higher than it's literally over 100 times higher than it was last year at this time. So just the fact that you can't plan on that, and you have to sort of adjust and make some modifications. And, you know, if it goes 100 times higher than it is now, we're going to have to make more modifications. We just will. We're going to have to move to a different chain, move completely to an L2, something. But that's kind of the game that everyone in crypto is playing now. It's still an experiment. So it's not, you know, the structure of Tellor still works, but it's sort of tweaking it to work with Ethereum and tweaking it to work with crypto in general, that it's still just ongoing and a little bit reactive.
Yep. How will you train the community for the upcoming vote? I think we touched on this. I think what we want to do is make it so it's like there's no training required. It's just about getting the word out and making it just really, really simple to vote yes or no on something. So, and we'll see how that goes. And we'll adapt after this one, and we'll address. You know,
we're gonna go door to door and campaign
for
V2.5. Send us your address, we'll knock on it.
Did you guys get into crypto for the money or because it's cool? Because it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I got in back during the end of Fed days, early on in Bitcoin, and it was always just about, you know, overthrowing the man in a lot of ways. And it was, you know, I miss a lot of those libertarian roots now, but it was yeah, like originally it was this like very underground thing. You know, like it wasn't, now you're starting to get a little bit of like the finance pretend stock trader vibes out of it. Especially with DeFi, but you know, back in the day, it was about like
totally different.
You're just trying to use, yeah. I mean, you can trade it a little bit, but it was more similar to trading like Pokemon cards, and you know,
it was more about using it.
Yeah,
back
try
then.
to use it, try to find ways. It was different.
Yeah.
So we got a question on the Zoom. Somebody asks, I heard many complaints about gas prices. I know the Tellor has the opportunity to use other chains. Is there any plan for that? So we're looking at other chains actively. There's a few that we like, many that we don't like. Part of the issue, is 90% of the activity still on Ethereum. If you think about who needs Tellor or who is ultimately going to use Tellor, it's going to be a project that has usage, and everybody is using Ethereum still. So like if you go to another chain, you're going to have to sort of be hoping that other people are going to follow you, or that chain's activity is going to pick up. And like Chainlink, for instance, they go to every chain just because they have the money to waste resources on building on all of these chains that are never going to take off. But we don't really have that luxury. Maybe as some time goes on, we can start supporting other chains. And also if you're centralized, so like right now, most of these chains, there's no bridge from Ethereum to the other chain. So you can't just natively read Ethereum data on the other chain. And that makes, if you want to go to the other chain, you either need to just launch a completely separate chain, at which point your tokenomics is just completely messed up, or you have to rely on a centralized bridge. And like, most oracles are fine. Most oracles and projects are just fine being centralized or in that bridge. So it doesn't matter. But we're sort of a little bit more pure than that, and I wouldn't want to do that. Anyway, so yeah, long story short, we're looking at other chains, but it's one of those things you almost want to see who's going to win and where other people are going to go as well, or else you'll be alone.
Yeah. So you wouldn't want to move there just because of gas prices,
right?
Because then you'd be exchanging low gas prices for no customers. And so anyway, that's the last question is about how do we feel about the election, and I don't think we're going to share any comments on that. Can't get too political here.
We talked about it. Yay 2020.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yay.
Kanye. Yes, we're officially endorsing Kanye's bid for the presidency. So
yeah,
tweet at him for us.
Yeah, whoever gets Kanye to retweet Tellor.
Yes.
You guys get a t-shirt.
Definitely.
For sure.
Yep, that's it. Those were good questions again. It's a pleasure as always.
Right. Yeah. Thanks everyone. We'll push out the decentralized article tomorrow.
Morning.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So looking forward to
losing control.
Exciting times in Tellor. Giving it up to you guys. Anyway,
yeah.
Talk to you guys all next week.
So, yeah.
See you.